All right, guys, welcome back to Mod Pop Thrift. My name's Tom. I'm a stay-at-home dad for 5 kids, and I'm a full-time eBay reseller. I've got a whole lot of what sold today, 28 going out of here on this Saturday. I just can't wait until Monday to ship stuff for the weekend anymore. Last weekend, I ended up shipping 46 on Monday. And that's my whole day. I can't get anything else done, and I can't even make a video of it because it takes so long that my phone crashes and I have to delete the whole thing in order to get it to do anything. So that's why there hasn't been a whole lot of what solds this week, because I just have I had too many. They broke the system. So we'll get into this, and I'm going to be real quick, but you'll learn something, hopefully. First, we have a Makari sale. Makari is worthless. I don't enjoy selling on Makari. They make it difficult, and so I use it to sell. I sold Faces of Death. I sold this. You can't sell this on eBay because Dr. Seuss's estate discontinued this book because of racist imagery, and so they are collectible. This sold for $9. It probably wasn't even worth messing with, but I got it. Oh, at an estate sale in a pile of Dr. Seuss books. I was like, oh, that one's on the list of things you can't sell on eBay. Let me pick that up. But then I put it on Makari, and I thought it would sell for twice what it did. It sold for $9. And then let's see what else there is. These Sega games. I picked up a couple of games for $100 the other day, and these both went to the same buyer, international shipping, I believe. The thing about these are they're crazy clean. Not only are they complete in box with the manual, but the registration card and the insert poster and stuff. So these are really, really nice. Way better than you normally find. These are almost like just unsealed. This one had, and this doesn't add value, but it had cheat codes for the game. Has, oh no, that's not the receipt. One of the Madden games had the receipt for the original game, and then it has all the registrations and stuff. So these are better than your average complete in box game. They have every insert that they should have. There isn't really a reference for that, but when you look at the pile, there isn't anything that might have been included. And so I just take pictures and say, extra complete with registration, with reg card normally. Anyway, buyer paid $53 for both of these, and so I'm well on my way to making my money back on just these, and I still have 14 Atari games that are listed for like $40. I have the other games that are listed for $40 and the storage that's listed for $50. So I'm not making a huge bunch of money at $100 buy-in, but I'm making some money, and they've been listed for like 3 or 4 days. You guys saw me pick up the Bose the other day, and you probably saw the short on this remote. Remote sold. I said in the short that it would sell for $25, and then I corrected myself in the text, but this sold for $15 free shipping. And if you don't know, look at my short form videos. Your phone can pick up the light from this and translate it to your eyes in purple, so then you know that the remote works. I knew this remote worked anyway, because you'll see the unit that this went to sold not for parts not working, but I picked it up for $22, and I got a lot more than that out of it. I also did a short form on these homies, and this is Vato. He was the first one to sell. He's trying to sell you some oranges. This sold for $17.99 free shipping, but I paid $10 for all of them. Another really nice mask. This one is from Fun World, which I kind of discounted as a manufacturer, but somebody had this listed for $99. I felt like that was overpriced, and he still had his. There were no other comps, so I listed mine at $65, and somebody came in with a $58 offer, and those are plus shipping numbers. And so I took that. I paid $20 for this. And I said at the time, I'm like, I don't think that was quite as good as I hoped it would be when I got there and it was Fun World. But still, 20 into 60 in just a couple of days makes this a pretty good pickup. This one's glow in the dark too, which is pretty cool. Yeah, and it's going to a buyer who bought hands that are really, really cool. So he had been watching my store to see if I got any more mask stuff. So I'm definitely in the market for vintage Halloween masks. And you should be too. Okay, so I picked up a huge bag of vintage toys for 20 bucks at Goodwill. This was included. This is a kind of obscure movie called Robots. This character was played by Robin Williams. Not hugely well received. Maybe 2005? Yeah. Anyway, it's older than anything that's going to gain popularity now, movie, but it wasn't well received and the toys didn't sell well. So these are pretty obscure. And this is a character played by Robin Williams. Oddly enough, his head does come off in the movie. So even though this is broken, it's not the end of the world. I listed this for $9.99 free shipping and it sold. I basically have nothing into it. But Robots toys from this series do really, really well. This hand pops off and you can see he's missing this hand. He has that hand and he's fragile. So somebody bought him probably to repair their own or to make a custom or recreate in a diorama the scene where his head pops off. At any rate, it did sell. Watch out for Robots, obscure movies. Children's stuff always does well for me. So watch out for that one, Robin Williams in Robots. How about a Tootsie Toy? These aren't valuable most of the time. If it had all the paint on it and it was a rare one, it could have some value. But this was something I got thrown in at an auction. And so I listed it for $6 plus shipping and sold. Was on Harry Tornado's Whatnot and he sold a mystery box for 30 bucks to me. This shirt sold for $29.99 plus shipping. It is Nirvana bleach, as you can see, and it is vintage. It's on this Anvil Blue Bar tag. Anvil Blue Bar. But it's not super vintage. It's like 2005, 2009. So even stuff like this can have some value, like Nirvana, something with mass appeal like Nirvana that is old enough for somebody significantly younger than me to think is old. 2009 doesn't feel like that long ago. Nirvana t-shirt. I mean, I was in my third job. I was almost in a career by 2009. Nirvana. Picked this guy up while it was still warm, late fall. Took him till spring to sell. Paid like $2 at Goodwill. Sold for $12.50 plus shipping, but the buyer paid $12.50 shipping. So the buyer's all in at $25. I love Hot Moms. That shirt I picked up, dead stock. It's somewhat vintage. It would fit me, and I thought about wearing it because it's not worth a ton. But then I'm like, that might send the wrong message. Yeah, there are women out there who are desperate enough to hit on even a guy like me. Happens every once in a while. Evelyn is a little bit of a chick magnet, and I'm out here trying to be non-Ferris. You know what I'm saying? And so I love the hot mom of my children and don't have any intention of advertising otherwise. So anyway, I listed this for $7 plus shipping. I paid $5, so it's not worth picking up. You guys may remember that I did a video where I picked up some stuff. I missed some stuff at a thrift store, and I'm like, I should go back for that stuff the next day and see if it was all there, and it actually was all still there. I picked up Scalextric's slot cars that I never heard of those, but they did really, really well. And then the other day, I picked up more Scalextric slot cars for 30 bucks. Just these two plungers. It's the red and green. Sold for $17 free shipping. But the cars, so that gets me almost there on my money back. And the cars will, the cars sell for $40 and $70, something like that. So Scalextric slot cars are really, really good, even if you got to pay up for them a little bit. So I've had this Wimpy forever. long enough that it has these things in his hand because it came from a thrift store that no longer exists and hasn't for probably 2 years. Found him. He was one of my oldest listings, so I delisted and relisted. And would you look at that? He sold. $6 plus shipping, but sold. Dark Tower. You guys are hearing me talk about Dark Tower for as long as you've been watching the channel, probably. These three sold for essentially $5 a piece plus $5 shipping. Buyer asked me if I would lower the shipping if he bought three. And I was like, well, why don't you just buy them and I'll do $5 shipping on as many as you want to buy. And that worked out. So the buyer's all in at 20 bucks on three of them. I have the rest. The remainder of the entire game is in this bag. I'm going to delist all of that, put it up for auction. I've been doing really well with auctions, but what you have to do with auctions is high demand stuff. You can't just auction every JoJo t-shirt. You have to auction stuff that is stuff that people are looking for. And then you can start it low to gain an audience, and you might sell something to a viewer. Like this. This is a Don Post mask from 1979. It is the Cantina band member, iconic character that has like 7 seconds of screen time. And this one is in terrible shape. I paid 20 bucks for it. It has holes. It has gills, essentially. Picked up by a viewer of the channel, Eric. I greatly appreciate you. And this is not the first time that Eric's bought from the store. But he bid this thing up. I started it on auction at 20 because that's where I was into it at. And I like to start my auctions low to gain more interest. This is a really valuable mask in nice shape. This one is not in nice shape. And so that kind of sucks. Eric, you're probably seeing this before you receive it because I'll put this out as quick as I can. It is stuffed with a couple of t-shirts that I elected to stuff it with instead of donating the t-shirts. So do what you will with those. I just think it'll protect it from being farther ripped in shipping. I like auctions because rare stuff like this, like I know what the value of this is in really nice shape, but what is it with holes in it in the neck? What is it with the coloring should be better? And I feel like having auctions brings people to your store. And so then you get views and eBay sees people looking at your store and funnels traffic. So I like auctions. I like auctions on high demand items that I don't exactly know how to value, like big lots or small lots of things. Like I know what the value is approximately of all of these things. I could add it up being listed in my store. But at this point, those have been listed for 6 or 8 months and they've been picked over and picked over and picked over. So the rest of it, I just want it gone. And it's a thing that's going to drive traffic to my store. Eric, thanks for picking up the Cantina band member. And I'm going to ship this out today. Patagonia organic cotton, just as generic a flannel shirt as it can be. Picked it up for $6 2 weeks ago. Sold for $20 free shipping. How about a Goody brush? I did a short video on this. Pick brush, and that sold for $10 free shipping. And also Robert Graham shirt. Robert Graham is always a good name to look out for. I've never actually found it, and I found this one new old stock. It has fancy under the cuff, so if you flip your collar or flip your cuffs, you can look like a baller. In your Robert Graham shirt. I think this has an MSRP on it. I'll tell you what that is. It's sold. I paid $6.99 because Goodwill missed it. Even my Goodwill, which tends to have pretty good prices, would normally mark this up to $11 or $15. I listed it for $59.99, and somebody sent me a message and say, "Would you take $59.99?" Or would you take $49.99? And I said, sure thing, dude. And it sold in a week for $50. And I believe that was even plus shippings. Yeah, buyers all in at $65 for a shirt. It's 10 times what I paid for it. Wrangler Pants. Wrangler's Western Jean Pants. Tell you what I look out for on these. And these are big boy size. Like, they're only 34 waist, but they're 40 length. That's a tall drink of water. In the label, if this is papery. A lot of times when I see these hanging on the rack, I just stick my hand in the crotch. And I'm like, is that satiny or is it papery? The paperier, the better. And these are US, so this are papery enough that this is USA made. If they're satiny, I don't even bother with them because they look just the same, but people want the USA made ones. And I don't know why that matters on a secondary market. I understand why you would buy USA made things if you're buying on a, if you're buying first party, you're buying it from the manufacturer and you want to support local business or, you know, US business instead of sweatshops overseas and that kind of thing. Doing the corner bending thing. But I don't understand why it matters on a secondary market, because if these were made in China or made in the US, it doesn't make any difference when you're buying them from me and I bought them from Goodwill. On the grand scale of economics. So maybe there's another reason. Maybe they're better made from back in the day, but I doubt their standards changed much, just whether or not they pay children to make it, but that doesn't matter on a secondary market. So these legal flat rate envelope, and then you bend the corners in and then you unbend the corners and then you roll them down on the edges enough to make them go, and then I pull this thing, pull the tab, and I roll it. And I show you this almost every single time because I assume people still don't know, or people, new people are coming to the channel. And then you tape that. And that legal flat rate, shipping a pair of jeans is like $7.50 anywhere. If it fits, it ships. So yeah, I'm looking at it just off a screen, and this is going to Grand Prairie, Texas, which seems like a stereotypical place for a 40-inch in-the-seam pair of Wrangler jeans to go. But if I was to just ship them in a poly mailer, they would cost me $12.82. But if I go legal flat rate, they're $7.90, which is like $5 saved on shipping because I use the free packaging instead of packaging that I pay for. So that's the one that I use all the time. Of flat rate things, that legal flat rate envelope is indispensable. Some of the flat rate stuff, a medium flat rate box, I'm almost never going to use because it's so expensive. It's cheaper to do UPS for the same package. But legal flat rate for jeans, awesome. And it's like 30 cents more for the legal flat rate instead of the regular flat rate envelope. I told you Barney, my buddy Craig, had in his send it to Goodwill because it's not worth selling pile. And I brought it home and changed the batteries. And the voice sounded better, but still not great. So I put it listed with working voice scratchy or something like that, and it sold real quick, cheap. It sold cheap, but it sold really fast. And what I was just looking around for was this, my big boy poly mailers. That's a large poly mailer, but anything like this gigantic plush will fit with no issues at all. And so I can ship this plush in a poly mailer, and I just have to have the poly mailer to fit. But yeah, Barney plushes sell really, really well, and defective things sell as long as you tell somebody that they're buying something that's defective and you price it cheap. It isn't always a deal breaker. Video game, how about body count must be 18 to rent. No manual. Picked this up when a local movie rental place went out of business like in 2019. And I didn't even necessarily list all the stuff that I got when that happened. Long time. Sold for $15 free shipping. Now the next one, Levi was mad at me because we picked up that Grover and he was excited about it because I told him it was like $35 when he picked it up. And this was like 2 weeks ago. And well, he came home and did the comps and he found a sold comp for this for $90. And I'll put it up. It looks like a legitimate sold comp for Grover. However, the next closest one is $35. So I listed ours for $29.99 and it sold. But I told him it sold and he's like, how much did it sell for? How much did it sell for? And it sold for $30. And he, what? I had it listed for $65. And I'm like, well, that wasn't legitimate. So I lowered the price. He does drafts and I launch drafts of his listings. So he doesn't actually get to click the list it button because I got to look stuff over, because otherwise he would list $30 plushes for $65. And he listed something the other day for $12 free shipping. And he went ahead and clicked the list it now button and it cost me $9.99 to ship, and it was a waste of time. Out in the country past the city limit signs, there's a honky tonk near the county line. The joint starts jumping every night when the sun goes down. There's whiskey, women, music, and smokes. It's where all the cowboy folks go to boot, scoot, and boogie. This is a Brooks & Dunn brand t-shirt, and you can see the label's a little bit clipped. I paid $11 for it at the auction a couple of weeks ago, and it is flawed. It has a couple of pretty major stains on it. Sold for $46 plus free shipping. $46. I think that was on an offer. I think I had it listed for $52 or something. I normally try to offer 10% off, and but this was one of the reasons that I went. I was hoping it was a bigger size. I was hoping it was in better condition, but I previewed it at the auction and then came home and comped it, and it was real good. So I showed up at the auction. I bought a whole bunch of shirts for $9 a piece, and this was one of them, and it sold for $46. So that's a good pickup. There's outlaws, in-laws, crooks, and straights, all out making it shake to do the boot, scoot, and boogie. This is a fish cover for your tissues, and this is the matching wastebasket can. And they're super cute, and they were $2.50 a piece at Goodwill a long time ago. Long time ago. I can still remember when I picked them up. Sold for $12 plus shipping. Buyers all in at $25. So they paid as much for shipping as they did for the items, and I'm not sure that's worth my time. But I picked them up because they were cheap. I listed them at where they would sell, and they did sell. Let me tell you, while I'm packaging this thing up in this huge box, it's a little too small to put in this big of a box. But my principle here is this box, priority 2 pounds, ships for the same as this smaller box, priority 2 pounds. And obviously that trash can's not going to fit in here. But if you've got something fragile, if you've got some glass that you're trying to ship, and you're like, oh, I don't want to use this number 7 box, it's way too big, I don't need to use a 12 by 12 by 8. 12 by 12 by 8 ships. If you're buying a priority label, 12 by 12 by 8, the number 7 from USPS free box ships at the same rate as anything smaller than it. So you may as well use the bigger box and a little more bubble wrap and protect your item well. And that principle probably applies more to something like this, where it's not fragile and it would probably fit in this box pretty close. It's not going to fit in this box, but finding the right box. Oh, but if all I had was the 12 by 12 by 8 to ship this in, it's gonna go priority, so it's gonna be the same price in the number 7 box as it would be in something else. So I'm not gonna waste a bunch of time trying to find the right box or trying to resize a number 7. I'm just gonna use the number 7 free box and ship this priority. This sold for $50. Media storage does really, really well. Obsolete media storage. Nobody's making storage for Atari games and their manuals anymore. That's what this specific is designed specifically for. Coleco games as well, but those early 80s video games that had this size cartridge and came with this size manual, that's what this is made for. I bought it with the games, and we were negotiating the price per game, and I knew it was coming in this, and this was valuable, but the person I was buying from didn't value this as part of the lot. They were just like, oh, here's that's a price per game. And I'm like, well, let's play that game because this is more valuable than the 14 games. And so we got the price per game down to below $5 a game. And I knew that this would, don't buy Atari games for $5 a game unless you're getting storage that's worth $50. If you buy a really common plush at the store for $2 and it sells in your eBay store, you won't make very much money. If you gave a mouse a cookie, he'll want a glass of milk. And this, I paid $2 and it sold for $8 free shipping. This is where I tell you it's a good idea to not pay attention to your cost of goods when you are listing items. You have to, there used to be a guy who called himself a Resale Dojo on YouTube, and he basically gave up on YouTube because he wasn't making enough money for the time that he was putting in. And I, holy cow, can feel that. But he was at least monetized. I'm not making anything unless Eric comes in and spends money at my store, which I appreciate. And I'm not saying you guys should come buy from my store. I'm saying I'm not monetized, so this is just a labor of love, essentially. But if you pick this item up and you're like, well, I paid $2 and I need to make $15 on every item that I list, so I'm going to list this for $17.99. It'll never sell. So you have to divorce yourself from your cost of goods once you own an item and list it for what the market will bear. But I thought that it was valuable when I saw it. And so I was like, oh yeah, I remember that being good. I was wrong. But then now that I own it, I'm going to list it, and I'm not going to list it high because I spent too much money on it. I'm not going to find a buyer because I spent too much. I'm not going to find the guy at the end of the rainbow who wants to spend too much money on it because I spent too much. I'm going to have to price it where the market will bear and let it go. Now, this one sold in 3 days, and I priced it at essentially a break-even number, but it is what it is. This hat I got at a thrift store that doesn't exist anymore 2 years ago, and I paid $1 for a bunch of hats. And this one I listed $12 free shipping. That's as low as I go on hats. They're just not worth selling for much below that. But I had this listed, so I just knocked it down far enough to be able to get it out of the store. And so I don't really do well with NASCAR hats, and hats in general aren't fast sellers unless there's something that's really, really good. Last one. You guys tired of me yet? HVAC. I talked the other day about making a video where that was so long that I had to delete it. But also recession proofing your store. Stuff like this that helps you work on stuff, or helps the HVAC guy work on your stuff, or you're the HVAC guy. Stuff that appliances in a recession, people still need their stove, people still need their washing machine, people still need their furnace, people still need their water heater. Appliances in the house, parts would do fantastically well. People still need their cars, car parts would do fantastically well. Things that are going to make it cheaper than going to the auto parts store. or price it where the auto parts store is and people don't have to leave their house and make a special trip. Anyway, this, I picked up at a bunch of them, 5 or 6 at auction for dollars, like $2.50 each. And this one sold for $14.90 plus shipping. And I bought 6 of them, and there's only one left after this one. And they all sold quick and for good money. So I would definitely keep an eye out. I don't know anything about that Yellow Jacket brand, but I'm keeping an eye out for that kind of stuff where it helps somebody repair something that should last a long time and be really expensive to fix. That was 29 items for $800. In case anybody was curious how many items I do. I didn't ship anything on Friday. So that's Friday and today's half of Saturday's orders. That's everything from there. So 29, that's like 15 a day. I'd say that's a little better than average, but it's not home run. I can't believe how many items I've got kind of thing. 12 to 15 a day. It's kind of where I'm at right now. And I'm trying to list 25 a day. And I was on a run 4 or 5 days in a row. And then I didn't do anything yesterday with Evelyn being sick. And I was afraid I was getting sick. And maybe I kicked it faster than she did. Or maybe I just was run down. So anyway, that's all of it. And in case you were curious, that much shipping cost me $140. And that's the whole thing. That's my 26 items going out on Saturday afternoon. Hopefully it didn't take forever for me to show them all to you. I'm going to print some labels. I'm going to put them in an IKEA bag. And I'm either going to take them, I'll probably leave them for shipping on Monday at this point. None of them have to go, but I hate to leave them. But also, I don't want to walk into the post office at 4 o'clock on Saturday and have to deal with the stupid box thing that always gets jammed. So I'll probably just schedule a pickup for Monday for them. And certainly tomorrow, the rest of the day and tomorrow, I'll have a bunch more sales. So I'll have plenty to ship on Monday. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you. We'll see you on the next one.